Ready for takeoff. NASA is pushing its limits again with its Artemis II launch, sending 4 astronauts on a 10-day trip around the moon.
But there'll be no landing, folks, just a flyby. NASA releasing the video promoting the mission.
This is a very serious endeavor. This is absolutely a test flight.
That'll be the first time we'll have 4 crew members seeing the far side of the moon together.
We're at the point now where we are ready to go fly.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
We've been training together for over 2.5 years now, and with that comes a closeness.
I'm driven by the spirit of exploration. There's just something about pushing the limits that really captures my passion.
Very cool video there. The launch is set for 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida.
Joining us to talk about it, we were joined this morning by former NASA astronauts, Captain Winston Scott and Charles Camarda. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
So let's start with this. The crew will travel around the Earth, then head toward the moon before returning home without entering lunar orbit. What is the expectation here? What information are we looking for? Let's start with you, Captain Winston.
Well, this is going to be an end-to-end test of this complete system. This is a totally new rocket. And as you just said, it's going to take astronauts further into space than anyone has gone before. So we want to be sure that the propulsion system works properly, the thermal protection system works properly, the navigation, communication, and so on. There's a deep space network that will be providing coverage of the flight when it's out several thousand miles beyond the moon. So again, a brand new vehicle, brand new rocket, first time people on it. We want to be sure that it's up and ready and functioning properly. So this is, it's exciting, but a very, very important mission as well.
Yeah, definitely an exciting mission. Charles, the crew includes NASA astronauts Reed Weissman, Christina Koch, and Victor Glover, along with Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen. They'll be getting a close look at parts of the moon not fully studied before. What do you think they're going to be finding? How excited are you for this mission?
Oh, everybody's excited. I mean, this is fantastic hype. We're going back to the moon. These folks are going to be checking out the environmental control and life support systems for the first day. They're going to be doing some prox ops with the ICPS, and then they're going to be pushing for that TLI burn, translunar insertion burn. They want to make sure everything's just right, everything's operating properly, because when they lock into that, they're on their way, and they'll be back in 10 days.
Interesting. On that note, NASA already tested this technology with an uncrewed mission, Artemis I, back in 2022. So, Winston, how will this mission build on that success?
Yeah, well, again, the difference is that you got people on board this time. There was a successful Artemis I mission, but there are also some issues that were revealed with Artemis I. And one of the main issues was ablation of the thermal protection system. We call it the heat system, a heat shield. When they re-entered on Artemis I, they used a skip re-entry, and that built up some pressures and caused some of the heat shield to flake off, to break off. Well, that's dangerous. You don't want that. So they went back and they changed the reentry profile. They had some other issues with the rocket, but now that people are on it, they want to be sure that those issues have been corrected and that we have a good end-to-end safe flight test this time.
Well, the astronauts could travel farther from Earth than any humans before, but according to NASA, that's the least of what they hope to accomplish. Let's watch.
The max distance from Earth is going to be 252,799 statute miles, which, yes, is a little over 4,000 miles farther than Apollo 13. You want every mission to keep exploring and keep learning new things, and getting farther from Earth than we've ever been before is a fun statistic, but there are a lot of other things we're going to learn on this mission that are going to be a lot more exciting, for me at least.
So Charles, talk to us about what we can expect these astronauts to experience. You're a former astronaut. I mean, how can they go about this mission in a way that it creates the biggest impact for the future of space exploration, as well as the fact that we are still in a space race, whether it's China, Russia, the United States needs to keep up with these other adversaries in order to create an impact here, because falling behind is truly never an option.
Yeah, I think this is a big issue. I mean, Jared Isaacman has a lot on his plate. What we need to do is really change the culture at NASA. Right now, we're asking our astronauts to accept a lot more risk than we did for Apollo. Winston mentioned the heat shield. We really do not have the analytical capability to predict how it's going to fail. And so without that, we cannot quantify risk. It's like playing Russian roulette without knowing the number of bullets in the chamber.
Very interesting. And Winston, I have to ask you this question. You know, I was looking at that graphic. We're flying around the Earth as well as the moon. Why not just land on the moon? Because I'm curious to actually take the flag that was planted back in 1969, and analyzing that flag can give us even more information while planting a new one. What say you?
Well, a couple of reasons. Again, I keep going back to the end-to-end test of the vehicle just flying us there and getting us back. But the other reason is that we're not quite ready to go to the surface yet, because the part of the system that will actually take astronauts from orbit to the surface is being developed as we speak. There are two companies competing for that. SpaceX is one and Blue Origin is the other. So whoever gets there first, whoever develops their lunar lander, I'll use that term, lunar lander first, will get to test that in low Earth orbit. So Artemis II will launch, orbit the Earth, and then practice docking with that part of the system. Then Artemis IV will have that part of the system around the Earth, the lunar orbit, so that when the rocket gets to the people can get in that part and go to the surface. So essentially, the part to take them from orbit down to the surface is not quite ready yet. So this is a test program, and when test programs, you do them incrementally. So the next increment is what we see going on tonight over the next 10 days. The following increment will be next year when we dock in space with the lunar lander part. And then the following increment, of course, will take astronauts to the surface.
Got it. Well, Charles, this mission is a key step toward a possible landing in 2028 on the moon and NASA's long-term goal of building a sustained human presence on the moon. What does that presence look like? And do you believe that that will actually happen during this timeline?
It probably won't happen along this timeline. It might get pushed back a little bit. These are really tough milestones that we have to meet. SpaceX and Blue Origin have a lot on their plate in order to get us there. So it might be a little bit delayed, but I think we're looking at a small outpost, a continuous human presence on the surface of the moon, exploration, and hopefully future commercial development using the Luna as a test bed to really advance new technologies.
You know, Winston, I'm 57. How long do I have to wait before we land on the moon again? And then, as Krysia actually mentioned, in terms of a human presence, I just want you all to land on the moon again. How long is how long?
Well, so do we. I got to tell you what, we're so close. I really think I think we're going to be on the moon soon, and if not next year, I mean, following year in 28, I think it'll happen soon after. I mean, Charlie is right. These things, it's very difficult to do. So we may or may not be able to hold this timeline, but I do think we're close to being on the moon. I think we will hold, and when I say we will hold, the administration in place will continue with these plans so that we can get to the moon sooner rather than later. So much of this depends, of course, on who's in charge, and we have an administration right now that's really pro-space, and that's why we're making the progress that we're making. But John, you guys are young, so you definitely see astronauts walk on the moon. You'll see a permanent presence, and who knows, you may get a chance to go up there.
Well, folks, it's April 1st, so we don't know if Winston is actually joking or not. When he says 2030, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I hope it's not an April Fool's joke, Winston. But we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.